The grand, echoing halls of Jefferson Academy practically drip with privilege. Can you feel it in the air? Yet, hidden within these walls are two poisonous lies that fester like rot. That a black kid like Malik Carter must be spinning tales about his dad working at the Pentagon, and that a school this posh could never be touched by the dark threats lurking beyond its gates. Oh, how those delusions explode into a million pieces on Parents' Day. Imagine Miss Anderson's smug, oh-so-superior smirk locking up in stunned disbelief. Can you picture that glorious moment? As Jonathan Carter strides into her pristine classroom. He's not some janitor sweeping floors or a clerk pushing papers, like they all sneered and assumed. No way. He's the sharp, strategic genius who holds the nation's safety in his hands, and the truth slams into them with all the force of a tidal wave. There's Malik, his 10-year-old son, standing in the shadows, heart thumping with a wild cocktail of victory and icy fear. Why the fear, you ask? Because his dad isn't just here to slap down the doubters with a satisfying smack of reality. Oh no, it's bigger than that. He's here to snuff out a security breach that's crept right into this fancy school, a place where nobody believed Malik's honest words until they swaggered in wearing a security clearance so high it'd make their heads spin. Hey, before we plunge back into this heart-pounding saga, I've got to know, where are you tuning in from today? Shout it out in the comments, will you? And if this story's got you hooked, how could it not? Smash that subscribe button, because tomorrow's twist is going to knock your socks off. Now, let's zoom in on Malik Carter. Can you see him standing there in his room, hands shaking like leaves in a storm as he wrestles with his tie? That dark blue fabric, it's like a noose tightening around his neck, isn't it? Every single morning, it's the same soul-crushing drill. Drag himself out of bed, pull on that stiff Jefferson Academy uniform, and brace for another day of feeling like an alien in a strange land. Malik, breakfast's ready. His dad's voice rumbles up from downstairs, strong and steady. Coming, Dad. Malik yells back, stealing one last peek in the mirror. Doesn't he look so small, so young for all this? At just 10 years old, can you even imagine he's already mastering two faces? One brimming with courage for his parents, and another wary shielded for the harsh world of school. Downstairs, Jonathan Carter's at the kitchen table, eyes glued to his tablet. Doesn't he just ooze strength, even in his laid-back clothes? The way he sits, spine straight, gaze sharp as a blade, it's like he's always on guard, always ready. Everything set for today? He asks, sliding over a plate piled with fluffy eggs and golden toast. Comfort food, right? Malik nods, digging in. Yeah, Miss Anderson's got us talking about our parents' jobs today. Jonathan lifts an eyebrow. Curious, huh? Is that so? I'm telling them about your work at the Pentagon, Malik says, pride swelling in his chest like a balloon. His dad gives him that calm, measured stare, knowing, protective. Just keep in mind what I always say. I know. Malik jumps in, grinning wide. Some stuff's safer if I don't spill too much. Smart boy, Jonathan laughs, tousling Malik's short hair with a warm hand. Finish up, we're rolling out in 10 minutes. Jefferson Academy towers like a castle of wealth in one of Washington, D.C.'s swankiest neighborhoods. Can you see those towering iron gates, those flawless green lawns shouting exclusive at the top of their lungs? For decades, it's churned out the kids of senators, ambassadors, and moguls. Power practically seeps from the walls. Malik climbs out of his dad's unassuming sedan, catching sight of the shiny parade of luxury cars unloading his classmates. Talk about a punch to the gut. He straightens up, slings his backpack over his shoulder, and throws his dad a quick wave, brave face on. Have a good day. Jonathan calls out, voice steady as ever. Remember what I said. Got it, Dad. Malik answers, turning to face that intimidating building. Walking those gleaming halls, doesn't he feel those stares prickling his skin? Not hostile outright, but something sharper, curiosity laced with doubt, like he's a riddle they don't want to solve. Malik! A bright voice cuts through the fog of his thoughts. Thank goodness. It's Ethan Williams, red hair wild as he jogs over. True friend vibes, right? Ready for Miss Anderson's class. Malik flashes a grin. Ethan's the one soul here who never makes him feel like he's on the outside looking in. I guess so. You talking about your dad's job today? Ethan's smile dips just a touch. Bittersweet, huh? Yeah, but it's nothing special. Dad's still at the factory, same as ever. They step into Miss Anderson's classroom side by side, snagging their usual seats in the back, safe territory. The room's electric. Can you feel that buzz? as kids trade boasts like they're playing a high-stakes game. My dad just locked down a $50 million merger. Tyler Whitman crows, blonde hair shining like he's the Prince of Northern Virginia. His dad practically owns it. Oh please, my mom met with 3 senators yesterday. Sophia Green shoots back, refusing to be topped. Right on cue, Miss Anderson glides in as the bell chimes. Doesn't she just scream perfection? Tall, graceful, honey blonde hair swept into a flawless bun, draped in designer clothes that cost more than most folks' rent. At 45, she's Jefferson royalty, a 20-year vet who's shaped the kids of 2 former presidents. Impressive, right? Good morning, class, she declares, voice that slick mix of honey and iron. Don't you just know she's in charge? I hope you're all ready for today's presentations. Her eyes sweep over them, pausing a little longer on Malik and Ethan. Why does that feel like a quiet slap? Malik's noticed it before. She pushes the golden kids, but with him, it's all syrupy tones, like he's a toddler. We're going alphabetically by last name, she says, tapping her tablet. Carter, you're first. Malik's stomach flips. First? Are you kidding me? He takes a deep breath, nerves jangling, and heads to the front, 24 pairs of eyes tracking him like hawks. I'm Malik Carter, he starts, voice holding stronger than his quaking insides. My presentation's about my dad's job. Louder, Malik. Miss Anderson barks, tone already dripping with that you're not enough judgment. Harsh, huh? He clears his throat, pushes harder. My dad's Jonathan Carter, and he works at the Pentagon. A beat of silence, then Tyler's snicker ignites a wildfire of laughs. Can you hear it spreading? Miss Anderson doesn't stop them. Oh no. A smug grin dances on her lips. Cruel, right? The Pentagon? Malik, really? He nods, baffled. Why's this funny? Yes, ma'am. 8 years now. Oh my. She gasps, all mock amazement. What's he do there? The president, too. She winks at the class. Seriously? And they lose it again. Malik's face burns. Can you feel that shame scorching him? No, ma'am. Security operations. I'm sure he does, she interrupts, voice thick with disdain. Ouch. Next time, maybe stick to the truth instead of showing off. He's stuck there, rooted. Doesn't it hurt just imagining it? But I am telling the truth, he protests, voice fading fast. Sit down, Malik, she snaps, cold and final. We've got a lot to get through. Legs heavy as cement, he shuffles back, the giggles chasing him. Tyler's whisper stabs. Pentagon? Sure. Probably the janitor. Ethan's hand flies up, loyal to the end. Miss Anderson, Malik's not lying. I've seen his dad's badge. Her smile tightens. Trouble brewing. Enough, Ethan. Want detention for disrupting. Ethan blushes but backs off, tossing Malik a helpless look. Poor guy. The rest of the day blurs by. Doesn't that morning's sting just weigh him down like a soaked coat? When the final bell rings, Malik's only thought is escape. Forget this day ever happened. Jonathan's waiting outside, and one glance at his son's drooping frame tells the whole story. Rough day? He asks as Malik slumps into the car, gentle but knowing. Yeah, Malik mutters, eyes glued to the window. Can't he just vanish? They drive in heavy silence, tense, right? Until Jonathan tries again. Want to talk? Malik wavers, then it bursts out. We talked about parents' jobs. I said you're at the Pentagon, and they laughed. Even Miss Anderson, she made me sound like a liar trying to be cool. Jonathan's hands grip the wheel tighter, barely noticeable, but he keeps his cool. I see. She humiliated me in front of everyone. Malik's voice breaks. Can you feel that raw pain? Why don't you ever do career day? They'd have to believe me then. You know why, Malik, Jonathan says, soft but firm. My schedule's not always mine. It's not fair. Malik cries, anger bubbling up. Everyone else's parents show up. They pull into the driveway, and Jonathan faces him, eyes steady, serious. People doubt what they don't understand, Malik. Being underestimated can be your edge. How's being a liar an edge? Malik snaps, bitterness spilling over. Before Jonathan can reply, his phone buzzes, urgent vibes. His face shifts, hardens, focused in an instant. Gotta take this, he says, all business now. Go do your homework. we'll talk later. Malik hauls his backpack inside, glancing back through the window. Can you see Jonathan out there, fierce, gesturing like he's commanding an army? Later, hunched over math at the kitchen table, Malik catches his dad's voice from the study. Door cracked, words slipping out, tight and hushed. I get it, no, that's not okay. We need to act now. Curiosity, maybe fear, pulls Malik closer. His dad's work rarely comes home. Why now? I'll take it on myself, Jonathan says.
Yes, tomorrow.
Malik scrambles back as the call wraps, and Jonathan steps out, face grim until he sees his son, then flips to warm. Homework done? He asks, casual as can be. Almost, Malik says.
You okay?
Just work, Jonathan replies. Too smooth?
No worries.
Sleep's a lost cause that night. Can you feel his restless mind churning? Malik gets up for water, and passing his window, whoa! Something moves. A black SUV lurks across the street, engine purring, eerie, right? A man in a dark suit steps out, mutters into a wrist radio, spy stuff, then scans the block before ducking back in. Pulse racing, Malik slips to his dad's room, tapping lightly. Dad, there's a car out there.
Jonathan is up fast, peering out. No panique, juste calme.
It's fine, he says, hand steady on Malik's shoulder, reassuring, huh? Back to bed. But who are they? Malik pushes. Gotta know. Malik, Jonathan says, firm yet gentle, some things are safer left alone.
Trust me, sleep.
Malik retreats, mind whirling. School's cruelty, dad's secrets, that car, what's it all building to? Can you imagine the chill that runs down your spine when you feel watched? That's exactly what's eating at Malik Carter right now. Who's out there? I think someone's watching our house, he whispers, his voice quaking as he stands in the dim glow of the living room. It's late, way too late for a kid like him to be up, but his dad, Jonathan, doesn't even blink. He's wide awake, like he's been waiting for this moment. He strides to the window, peers into the inky night, and get this, his face doesn't show a flicker of shock. Don't worry about it, he says, his tone steady as he rests a strong, comforting hand on Malik's trembling shoulder. Go back to bed. But Malik's not letting it go that easy, would you? But who are they? Why are they outside our house? He demands, his heart hammering so loud he's sure his dad can hear it. Jonathan's voice hardens, but it's still got that gentle edge. Malik, he says firmly, some things are safer if you don't know. Trust me on this. Now go to sleep. Reluctantly, Malik drags his feet back to his room. But sleep? Ha! That's a joke tonight. His mind's a whirlwind, spinning with the sting of yesterday's humiliation at school, that weird hushed phone call he overheard his dad take earlier, and, oh man, that creepy black SUV parked across the street. It's just sitting there, silent as a shadow, like it's guarding something, or hunting it. Is it protecting them? Threatening them? The questions claw at him, keeping his eyes glued to the ceiling as the hours tick by. Morning crashes in with the obnoxious beep 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 of his alarm clock. Ugh, school again. For one fleeting second, he prays it was all a bad dream, but then Miss Anderson's smug, mocking smile flashes in his head, shattering that hope like glass. He stumbles downstairs, rubbing sleep-deprived eyes, and spots a note on the kitchen counter in his dad's neat handwriting. Had to leave early. Mrs. Thompson will drive you to school. Have a good day, Dad. Typical Jonathan, gone before the sun's up. It's not new, but today it hits different. Malik's chest tightens with disappointment. He'd been dying to talk more about the school fiasco, maybe even beg his dad to march into Miss Anderson's classroom and set her straight. But nope, another letdown. At 7:30 sharp, Mrs. Thompson rolls up in her beat-up old Volvo. Bless her soul, she's a lifesaver when Jonathan's swamped. She's their sweet, gray-haired neighbor who's always ready to step in, and as they chug along to school, she's chattering away about her prize-winning roses and her grandkids' latest antics. Malik's barely listening, staring out the window at the blur of suburban streets, lost in his own mess of thoughts. Your father works too hard, she says out of nowhere as they pull up to Jefferson Academy's fancy gates. Important job, though. The country needs good men like him. Wait, what? Malik snaps out of his daze, head whipping toward her. You know what my dad does? He asks, eyes wide. Mrs. Thompson's lips curl into this mysterious little smile that makes her look like she's hiding a secret. I've lived next door to you for 6 years, child. I notice things, she says, her voice all-knowing and soft. Before he can grill her, what things? They're at the drop-off, and she's shooing him out with a wave. The moment slips through his fingers like sand. Meanwhile, miles away, Jonathan Carter's a whole different man. Forget the chill dad in jeans and a t-shirt. Here, deep in the Pentagon's classified belly, he's a force in a razor-sharp suit, security badge glinting like a badge of honor. He's parked at a sleek conference table with 6 big shots, 3 military officers in crisp uniforms and 3 civilians in suits that probably cost more than Malik's tuition. A woman with short gray hair is laying it out, her voice clipped and serious. The cyber attack was sophisticated. They hit multiple systems at once, but we think their main target was the SCADA networks. A Marine colonel to Jonathan's right leans in. This guy means business. Any idea who's behind it? Not definitively, she fires back, but the code signatures match previous attacks linked to. She's cut off mid-sentence as an aide bursts in, all urgency, and bends down to whisper in Jonathan's ear. His face darkens. Trouble's brewing. When did this happen? He snaps, his tone razor-sharp. Just now, sir. The system flagged it because of your personal security protocols. Jonathan's up like a shot. I need to step out. There's been an unauthorized attempt to access Jefferson Academy's database. The room freezes, confusion bouncing between them. Jefferson Academy? The colonel echoes, brow furrowed. The private school my son attends, Jonathan says, his voice tight as a wire. And someone just tried to breach their security using the same tactics we've been tracking. Back at school, Malik's shrinking into his seat in Miss Anderson's class. Can he just disappear already? After yesterday's soul-crushing embarrassment, he'd give anything to avoid her spotlight. She's in her glory, gushing over the Golden Kids presentations while tossing scraps to the rest. Tyler, your father's real estate work is truly shaping our city's future, she coos, all syrup and sunshine. And Sophia, how fascinating that your mother's crafting healthcare policy at such a high level. Then her gaze lands on Malik, and bam, there's that patronizing smirk again. Malik, while imagination is certainly valuable, remember, these presentations were supposed to be factual. The room erupts in snickers, and Malik slumps lower, cheeks burning. Why does she hate me so much? Across the room, Ethan catches his eye with a look that says, I've got you. After class, as they trudge to lunch, Ethan tries to pull him out of the pit. Don't listen to her, Malik. She's always playing favorites. Easy for you to say, Malik grumbles, bitterness dripping from every word. She doesn't call you a liar in front of the whole class. Ethan goes quiet, then drops a bomb that stops Malik cold. My dad lost his job yesterday. His voice is so small it's almost lost in the hallway noise. The factory's closing. Mom says we might have to move if he can't find work soon. Malik's gut twists. Oh man, I'm such a jerk for whining.
I'm sorry, Ethan.
That's awful. Ethan shrugs, forcing a brave face. We'll figure it out. As they hit the cafeteria, Malik glances out the window and freezes. A woman in a trench coat is posted across the street, staring right at the school. She's got this alert, hawk-like vibe that screams Jonathan. Who's that? He asks, nudging Ethan. Dunno, probably waiting for someone, Ethan says, squinting. But then she lifts a tiny camera, snaps a few shots of the building, and strides off like she owns the place. What's her deal? That afternoon, Jonathan's behind the wheel, picking Malik up, and Malik can't stop staring at him. His dad's always been low-key, modest clothes, quiet vibe, never one to brag, but now? Those late-night calls, the black SUVs, the way he scopes out every parking lot like a hawk, it's all screaming something's up. Dad, Malik starts, tentative, what exactly do you do at the Pentagon? Jonathan keeps his eyes on the road, cool as ever. You know I work in security operations. But what does that mean? What do you do all day? A ghost of a smile flickers on Jonathan's face. Lots of meetings, lots of reports, not exactly thrilling. Then why are people watching our house? Malik blurts out. Jonathan's smile vanishes, busted. What makes you think that? I saw them last night, cars parked across the street, people just sitting there. They never leave. After a heavy pause, Jonathan says, some things are safer if you don't know too much, Malik. That's not me dodging, it's the truth. But why would it be dangerous for me to know? Malik pushes, desperate. I didn't say dangerous, Jonathan corrects, soft but firm. I said safer. There's a difference. Before Malik can argue, his school tablet lights up with a freaky alert, random gibberish flashes across the screen, then poof, it's gone. What was that? Jonathan asks, voice sharp as a blade. I don't know, Malik stammers, totally thrown. Some weird message popped up and disappeared. Jonathan's knuckles whiten on the steering wheel. Oh. Let me see that tablet when we get home. Once they're back, Jonathan's on it like a tech detective, spending a solid hour poking at the device with his laptop, running scans that look straight out of a spy movie. Seems normal now, he finally says, handing it back, but that worried crease in his forehead? It's screaming otherwise. Malik, listen, if anything weird happens at school, call me right away. Got it. Malik nods, his dad's intensity making his stomach flip. Is something wrong, Dad? Jonathan grips his shoulders, eyes boring into him. Probably not, but I'd rather be too careful than not careful enough. Next day, Miss Anderson's on a warpath to crush Malik's spirit. They're talking DC landmarks, and when they hit the Pentagon, she pounces. Malik, since your father supposedly works there, she smirks, maybe you can tell us something not in the textbooks. The room goes dead quiet, kids grinning like they're waiting for him to crash and burn. Not today. Malik's ready. He stayed up late cramming Pentagon trivia, determined to fight back. It's got twice as many bathrooms as it needs, he says, voice steady. Built in the 40s when Virginia was segregated, they had separate ones for white and black workers. After segregation ended, they kept them all. Miss Anderson's smirk slips. Ha, didn't expect that. Well, she fumbles, that's correct, but not really architectural. Malik's not done. And there's a hot dog stand in the courtyard. Soviet missiles targeted in the Cold War. They thought it was a secret bunker entrance because officials went there daily. Nope, just lunch. A few kids laugh, real laughs, not mean ones, and Miss Anderson's face sours. That's enough, Malik. Let's move on. But that win? It's like rocket fuel for his confidence all day. After the bell, Miss Anderson corners him, her voice dripping with fake sweetness but her eyes ice cold. Malik, I get that you're in a phase where you stretch the truth. Lots of kids do. But these Pentagon stories are getting disruptive. I'm not making it up, he fires back, unflinching. She leans in, smile sharp as a knife. If your dad really works there, why not bring him in? Parents' Day's next week, problem solved, right? She's betting he'll fold, confess, or squirm out of it. Nope. Fine, he will, Malik says, staring her down. Her mask slips, just for a second, before she recovers. Wonderful. Can't wait to meet him. That night, Malik's a bundle of nerves as he approaches Jonathan, who's hunched over his laptop at the kitchen table, frowning at the screen. Dad, he starts, shaky. Parents' Day's next week. I really need you to come. Jonathan glances up, distracted. You know it's tough for me to commit to school stuff, Malik. I know, but Malik takes a deep breath and spills it. Miss Anderson's taunts, the challenge, the humiliation. Jonathan's face shifts, distracted to focus to something fierce. Is he mad? Proud? Whatever it is, Malik's holding his breath, waiting. Can you even imagine the sting of being mocked by your own teacher, day after day, in front of everyone you know? That's what Malik Carter had to endure, and it was brutal. Miss Anderson's relentless jabs, her sly challenges, the way she turned him into the class laughingstock, it cut deep. She'd roll her eyes and smirk every time Malik mentioned his dad's job at the Pentagon, like it was some wild fantasy he'd cooked up. But one evening, everything changed. Malik spilled his heart out to his dad, Jonathan Carter, his voice shaking as he recounted every humiliating moment. At first, Jonathan barely looked up from his laptop, his mind clearly elsewhere. But as Malik's words tumbled out, something incredible happened. His dad's face transformed. His distracted frown sharpened into focus, then shifted into something fiercer, something Malik couldn't quite name. By the time Malik finished, Jonathan's expression had settled into a steely calm, a look Malik had only seen a handful of times, when his dad was seriously ticked off but holding it together like a pro. Oh, you could practically feel the air crackle with what was coming next. I see, Jonathan said, his voice low and steady, like the rumble before a storm. He snapped his laptop shut with a crisp click that echoed in the quiet room. What day is this Parents' Day? Next Friday, Malik replied, his heart pounding with a flicker of hope. Will you come? Jonathan didn't hesitate. He nodded once, sharp and sure. Yes, I'll be there. Malik's jaw dropped. Really? He blurted, disbelief spilling over. His dad had never agreed to a school thing this fast. Usually it was all I'll see what I can do, or work's crazy right now. But this time? Really, Jonathan confirmed, his tone solid as a rock. I think it's time I met your teacher. Malik felt like a 1,000-pound weight had just rolled off his shoulders. Finally, Miss Anderson was going to eat her words. But later that night, as he tiptoed past his dad's study, something weird caught his ear. Jonathan was on one of those hushed phone calls again, his voice a low murmur. Malik swore he heard Jefferson Academy and security protocols before the door clicked shut. What was that about? And outside, in the dim glow of the streetlights, there it was again, that black SUV, parked like a shadow across the street. Normally, it creeped him out, but tonight? Tonight, it felt like a promise. Something big was brewing, something his dad wasn't letting on. As Malik climbed into bed, his mind raced, picturing Miss Anderson's smug face crumbling when Jonathan walked in. For the first time since that awful presentation, he couldn't wait to get to school. The days before Parents' Day dragged on like a slow-motion nightmare. In class, Miss Anderson's smug grin seemed to grow wider every time she glanced Malik's way, like she was daring him to prove her wrong. Twice she tossed out snarky little digs. Oh, some of us have such tall tales about our parents. Or what vivid imaginations we have. Her eyes locked on him like lasers. The whole class snickered, and Malik's face burned. She's betting your dad's a no-show, Ethan muttered during Thursday's math lesson, his pencil tapping nervously. He'll be there, Malik shot back, trying to sound tougher than he felt. Sure, his dad had promised, but Jonathan's job was a wild card. Last month, he'd bailed on the science fair for some urgent situation. What if it happened again? That night at dinner, Malik poked at his mashed potatoes, his stomach in knots. You're still coming tomorrow, right? He asked, barely looking up. Jonathan paused, fork halfway to his mouth. I said I'd be there, didn't I? Yeah, but work stuff comes up sometimes, Malik mumbled. Not tomorrow, Jonathan said, his voice firm as granite. I've cleared my schedule. Malik let out a shaky breath. Okay, maybe this was real. Miss Anderson doesn't believe you work at the Pentagon, he added, the words spilling out. She thinks I made it all up. A spark flared in Jonathan's eyes. Anger? Pride? Gone as quick as it came. Does she now? He said softly. She's been mocking me in front of everyone, Malik pressed, the hurt bubbling up. Jonathan set his fork down with a slow, deliberate calm that made the room feel smaller. Tell me more about this Miss Anderson. Malik unloaded it all, how she fawned over the rich kids with their fancy cars and big houses, how her sneaky put-downs always hit him hardest, how she seemed to love watching him squirm. Jonathan listened, his face a blank slate, but his eyes grew sharper with every word, like he was piecing together a puzzle Malik couldn't see. When Malik finally ran out of steam, Jonathan just nodded. I see, he said again, and that was it, but it felt like a vow. Later, Malik crept past the study and peeked through the half-open door. Jonathan was hunched over his laptop, but instead of boring work stuff, there were files, serious-looking files. Malik's heart jumped when he spotted Miss Anderson's photo on the screen, her prim smile staring back. Before he could process it, Jonathan glanced up and shut the laptop with a snap. Shouldn't you be in bed? He asked, his tone warm but firm. Just grabbing water, Malik lied, scampering off with his mind spinning. What was his dad up to? The next morning, Malik bolted awake to find Jonathan already dressed, not in his usual rumpled work shirt, but in a slick, dark suit that screamed, "Don't mess with me." A leather portfolio and a shiny ID badge sat on the kitchen counter, glinting under the lights. Is that your Pentagon ID? Malik asked, reaching out. Jonathan slid it away with a smooth flick. Yes, and it stays with me. Malik noticed his dad checking his watch every few minutes, like he was counting down to something big. As they climbed into the car, Jonathan's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, then barked into it, "We're leaving now. ETA 20 minutes. Malik's stomach flipped. Dad, you okay? You seem intense. Jonathan's face softened for a split second.
Infine, Malik.
Just focused. Are you mad about Miss Anderson? Not mad, Jonathan said after a pause. But I don't like anyone calling my son a liar. Malik's chest swelled. His dad was ready to fight for him. When they pulled up to Jefferson Academy, Malik's eyes nearly popped out. 3 black SUVs, just like the one at home, were lined up across the street, guys in dark suits and sunglasses standing by like they owned the place. Dad, who are those dudes? Jonathan barely looked. Colleagues. Why are they here? Support, he said, like it explained everything, parking with precision. Malik's heart raced, half thrilled, half freaked out. What if this all went sideways? Don't worry, Jonathan said, reading him like a book. Everything's fine. Inside, the school was a madhouse. Parents' Day at Jefferson Academy was like a red carpet event, with parents strutting around in their best gear, networking like pros. Malik spotted Tyler's dad in a flashy Italian suit, already schmoozing up a storm. At the front desk, the secretary's eyes bugged out when she saw Jonathan's badge. Mr. Carter, she stammered, we weren't expecting, welcome. Thanks, Jonathan said coolly. Where's Miss Anderson's room? Room 112, down the hall, she squeaked, still rattled. As they walked, people stared, parents, teachers, even kids, all zeroing in on that Pentagon badge. Why's everyone gawking? Malik whispered. People get curious about the unknown, Jonathan said with a shrug, like it was no big deal. When they hit room 112, Miss Anderson was in full Queen Bee mode, flashing her perfect smile at the fancy parents, her cream blouse and navy skirt pristine as ever. She spotted Malik and smirked, she thinks I'm solo. But then her eyes slid to Jonathan, took in his sharp suit, his cool confidence, and bam! Landed on that badge. Her face went ghost white, the smirk wiped clean off. Miss Anderson, Malik said, grinning ear to ear, this is my dad, Jonathan Carter. He works at the Pentagon. Jonathan stuck out his hand, smooth as silk. I've heard so much about you. She shook it like a robot, her voice a faint croak. Welcome to Jefferson Academy. Thanks, Jonathan said, his tone icy calm. Malik mentioned your interest in his stories about my work. Miss Anderson's cool-as-a-cucumber act shattered, her mouth flapping like a fish out of water. Well, kids do have such creative imaginations, she managed. Sure do, Jonathan shot back. But Malik? He's right on the money. Before she could dig herself out, the door swung open, and a guy in a dark suit marched in, beelining for Jonathan. Sir, we need you, he muttered. Jonathan nodded. Excuse me, government business, he said to Miss Anderson, stepping out like it was nothing. Malik stood there, basking in her stunned silence. Shall we start Parents' Day? She squeaked, floundering to take charge. But for the next half hour she was a wreck, her usual swagger gone, her eyes darting to the door where Jonathan was now huddled with 3 suited guys. The room buzzed with whispers, parents and kids sneaking looks at Malik, not mocking him now but awed. Dude, Ethan hissed, your dad's legit. Told you, Malik said, grinning like a champ. Then the door flew open again, and in bustled Principal Hayes, looking like he'd just run a marathon. Miss Anderson, he said, his cheer fake as a $3 bill, I see you've met Mr. Carter. Yes, she said, stiff as a board. We were just great. Hayes cut in, turning to the class. Kids, we've got a treat today. Mr. Carter's going to talk about his work at the Pentagon. Miss Anderson's face froze. Say what? Clearly blindsided. Hayes waved Jonathan up front. Mr. Carter's a senior security strategist, he boomed, every word a jab at her. We're lucky to have him. Jonathan stepped up, cool and commanding, the room going dead quiet. Thanks, Principal Hayes, he started. First, I've got to say how proud I am of my son Malik. He's got grit and heart that'd impress anyone. Malik's chest puffed up as their eyes locked. I can't spill details about my job, Jonathan went on, but here's the gist. It's not all Hollywood explosions. It's planning, analyzing, keeping threats at bay before they even start. Every day, folks like me work to keep this country safe. As he spoke, Malik saw Miss Anderson slink to the back, trying to fade away. Nice try. But all eyes were on Jonathan. Malik felt like he was soaring. His dad wasn't just here to shut her down. He was here to show the world what they were made of. And for once, Malik knew he belonged right there with him. Can you believe the sheer power in that room when Jonathan Carter spoke? One thing I've learned in my career, he declared, his voice slicing through the air like a blade, resonating effortlessly across every corner of that classroom, is that prejudice, prejudging situations or people based on flimsy assumptions rather than cold hard facts, is one of the greatest barriers to effective security. When we dismiss information just because it doesn't fit our tidy little preconceptions, we create blind spots. Blind spots, people. His words hit like a thunderclap, and he paused, letting the weight of it sink in. And blind spots? They're dangerous, deadly even. Oh, the tension was unbearable. Several parents squirmed in their seats, their discomfort practically screaming. Asterisk, did he just call us out? Asterisk, and Miss Anderson? Her face flushed a furious red, as if someone had flipped a switch and lit her up like a Christmas tree. It was crystal clear to every soul in that room. Jonathan wasn't just talking about national security. No, sir. He was throwing a spotlight on every single doubter who'd mocked his son Malik for daring to speak the truth about his dad's high-stakes job at the Pentagon. You don't always see the people protecting you, Jonathan went on, his voice softening but somehow growing even more commanding. But that doesn't mean they're not there, working tirelessly day and night to keep you safe. The most effective protection, he added, his tone almost a whisper now, pulling everyone in closer, often happens without anyone realizing it was needed in the first place, until it's too late to even say thank you. A hand shot up. Tyler, that kid who'd laughed the loudest when Malik first mentioned his dad's gig at the Pentagon. Yes. Jonathan acknowledged him, his eyes sharp but kind. Sir, have you ever been in a gunfight? Tyler asked, his voice teetering between awe and that snarky skepticism kids love to flaunt. A slight, knowing smile crept across Jonathan's face. Oh, he'd seen this coming a mile away. What, you think it's all Hollywood shootouts and explosions? He shot back, raising an eyebrow. As I said, our goal, our mission, is to resolve situations before they ever reach that point. But yes, Tyler, I've had to face dangerous situations, more than you could imagine. And you know what keeps you alive? Preparation. Teamwork. And... Suddenly, mid-sentence, his phone buzzed in his pocket, sharp and insistent, like a warning bell cutting through the calm. Jonathan checked it discreetly, and in an instant, asterisk bam. Asterisk, his whole demeanor flipped. That easy, confident air? Gone. Replaced by a razor-sharp alertness that could have cut glass. To most in the room, it might have been a flicker, a nothing moment, but Malik? Oh, Malik knew that look. It was the same one his dad wore when those late-night emergency calls dragged him out of bed, when the world suddenly felt a little darker, a little less certain. The key, Jonathan said, smoothly pivoting as if nothing had happened, is preparation, teamwork, and constant vigilance. Speaking of which, excuse me, I should check in with my team. He turned to Principal Hayes, who was already looking like a deer in headlights. Could I have a word outside? He asked, his tone leaving no room for debate. The principal nodded, clearly stunned by the sudden shift but not about to question a man like Jonathan Carter. Asterisk, who would? Asterisk. As they stepped out, the classroom erupted into a wild buzz of excitement and whispers. Your dad is so cool. Ethan hissed to Malik, his eyes practically popping out of his head. Did you see Miss Anderson's face when he started talking about prejudice? She looked like she wanted to disappear. Malik nodded, a proud little grin tugging at his lips, but his gaze was locked on the window. Out there, his dad was showing something on his phone to Principal Hayes, whose face was getting grimmer by the second. Asterisk, what was happening? Asterisk. Malik's stomach did a nervous flip. Was this pride, or was something bigger brewing? Miss Anderson clapped her hands sharply, desperate to claw back some control. All right, everyone, let's continue with our scheduled activities. Parents, please join your children at their desks for our next project. But her voice cracked, her usual iron grip on the class slipping like sand through her fingers. Who was she kidding? No one was listening. Parents and kids alike kept sneaking glances at the door, waiting for Jonathan to storm back in and explain what the heck was going on. After what felt like forever, Principal Hayes slipped back into the room alone, his face tight with worry. Asterisk. Oh no, this wasn't good. Asterisk. He leaned over to Miss Anderson, whispering something that made her eyes go wide with alarm. Class, she announced, her voice pitching up like a siren, we're going to take a short break. Please remain in the classroom until further notice. A break? Now? What's happening? Malik whispered to Ethan, his gut twisting with unease. No idea, Ethan shot back, but your dad looked dead serious out there. Malik's mind raced. Is this because of me? Did I do something? Meanwhile, out in the hallway, Jonathan Carter stood like a sentinel, staring at the alert blazing across his government-issued phone. Breach detected. Jefferson Academy. His blood turned to ice. They're here at my son's school. How long ago? He barked at the agent who delivered the gut punch of a warning. 3 minutes, sir. The cyber team caught it during a routine sweep. They flagged it right away because of your security protocols on this location. Jonathan nodded, his jaw clenched tight. He'd set up extra monitoring on the school systems after those earlier breach attempts. Call it a hunch, call it paranoia, but now? It felt like a lifeline. What's the nature of the breach? He demanded, every word clipped in.
Des urgents.
Multiple entry points, sir. They took out the security cameras first, then the door locking mechanisms. It's got all the hallmarks of that group we've been tracking. Jonathan's jaw tightened even more. Those bastards. For months, his team had been chasing a slick foreign intelligence cell slinking around American soil. Their usual prey? Defense contractors, government facilities, not private schools. So why here? Why now? This wasn't random, it couldn't be. Get me Agent Ramirez, he ordered, his voice like steel. And implement security protocol Omega for this building. Now. The agent bolted off to obey, and Principal Hayes shuffled up, his face a sweaty mask of panic. Poor guy didn't sign up for this. Mr. Carter, what exactly is happening? Should we evacuate the building? Hayes stammered. No. Jonathan snapped, firm as a rock. For now, everyone stays put. I need you to initiate a soft lockdown. Keep all students and staff in their current locations. Doors closed but not barricaded. Make it sound routine, like a drill. Can you handle that? Hayes nodded, looking like he might faint. Yes, but good. Do it now, please. As Hayes scurried off, a familiar figure strode through the school's main doors. FBI agent Maria Ramirez, that mysterious woman in the trench coat Malik had spotted lurking around days earlier. Carter, she greeted with a curt nod, all business. Quite a coincidence, you being here today. I don't believe in coincidences. Jonathan shot back, his voice low and dangerous. Especially not when my son's school is targeted by the same group we've been hunting for months. Ramirez's expression hardened. She got it. We have reason to believe there's a threat inside this building. The cyber intrusion? That's just the opening act. Are your people in position? He pressed. She nodded sharply. Perimeters secure. We've got teams covering all exits. Good. His words were cut off by the PA system crackling to life. Attention all students and staff, Principal Hayes announced, his voice steady despite the chaos swirling in his head. We are initiating a precautionary lockdown procedure. Please remain in your current locations with doors closed until further notice. This is not a drill, but there is no cause for alarm. No cause for alarm. Ramirez muttered under her breath, dripping with sarcasm. That'll calm him right down. Jonathan was already moving, his heart pounding like a war drum. I need to get back to my son. Inside Miss Anderson's classroom, that announcement had sparked exactly the kind of nervous chaos Hayes had hoped to dodge. Parents were glued to their phones, kids whispering in tight little knots, and Miss Anderson stood frozen at the front, her usual smug confidence shattered. What now, huh? Jonathan burst in, his presence like a lightning bolt, instantly steadying the room. Everyone, please remain calm. This is just a standard security precaution. What's happening, Mr. Carter? One parent demanded, voice shaking. Are our children in danger? Right now, the best thing everyone can do is stay calm and follow instructions. Jonathan replied, his tone even but unyielding. Trust me, I've got this. Miss Anderson, please make sure all blinds are closed and the door is locked. She nodded, her hands trembling as she fumbled with the blinds. Not so tough now, are we? Jonathan caught Tyler's dad, Mr. Whitman, glaring at him suspiciously. Is this related to your presence here today? Whitman accused, pointing a finger. Have you brought some sort of threat to our children? Before Jonathan could fire back, Miss Anderson, shockingly, jumped in. Mr. Whitman, please. Mr. Carter is clearly helping to ensure our safety. Jonathan tossed her a quick nod of thanks. Well, look at that, a team player after all. I understand everyone's concern. He addressed the room, his voice steady as a rock. Please trust that we have security personnel all over this building. The lockdown is precautionary, nothing more. He slid over to Malik and Ethan, their faces a wild mix of fear and thrill. Dad, what's really happening? Malik whispered, his voice quivering. Just a security concern we're addressing, Jonathan murmured, keeping it low and calm. I need you to help keep everyone chill, okay? Malik nodded, but his eyes were huge. Is this because of you, Dad? Before he could answer, his phone buzzed again, the message hitting like a punch. Suspicious package found in basement.
Ou des teams en route.
Jonathan stood abruptly. Not now. I need to step out again, he told Malik, his voice firm but soft. Stay here. Don't leave this room for any reason. As he headed for the door, Miss Anderson grabbed his sleeve, her earlier bravado gone. Mr. Carter, she whispered, should I be worried? Just keep everyone in this room, he replied, then slipped out into the hallway. Agent Ramirez was waiting, flanked by 2 FBI agents in full tactical gear. Game time. Yodi team's 10 minutes out, she reported, her voice clipped. Building services found a package near the main electrical controls, wires sticking out everywhere. Show me. Jonathan demanded, his pulse racing. They tore through the silent halls, down a service stairwell to the basement, where 2 more agents stood guard over a backpack propped against the wall near the electrical panel. What the hell is this? No one's touched it? Jonathan asked, his eyes narrowing. Negative. Building services supervisor spotted it during his sweep, called it in right away. Jonathan crouched beside it, studying it like a hawk. The partially unzipped top revealed circuit boards and wiring. Not what you'd expect. This isn't a bomb, he muttered after a tense beat. It's a surveillance package, high-end, military grade. Someone's been watching this building from the inside. Ramirez frowned, her mind racing. Why would foreign operatives care about a private school? That's what we need to find out. Jonathan snapped, standing tall. He turned to an agent. Get me the school's personnel files, everyone who has access to this area, and I want security footage from the past week. Sir, the agent replied, the system's compromised. We don't know if the footage is intact. Then get me the backup tapes. Jonathan barked. A place like this has to have physical backups. As the agent scrambled, his phone buzzed again, the message chilling him to the bone. Facial recognition match on school maintenance staff. Known foreign operative. Last seen near East Wing 5 minutes ago. He flashed it to Ramirez, whose face darkened. This just got real. The East Wing? That's where the server room is, she said. And where they keep student and family info. Jonathan added, his voice grim. This isn't random, they're after something, or someone. The implication hung heavy, his Pentagon job, his access to top-secret intel, and now this, on Parents' Day? No way it's a coincidence. We need to lock down the server room, he decided, his mind racing. And I want all maintenance staff accounted for, As they moved toward the East Wing, Principal Hayes intercepted them, frantic. Oh great. Mr. Carter, parents are losing it. They're demanding answers. Some want to grab their kids and bolt despite the lockdown. Tell them that could put everyone at risk. Jonathan shot back. This is a matter of national security now, Mr. Hayes. The principal's eyes nearly popped out. National security? At a school. I need your cooperation, not your questions. Jonathan said, brushing past him. Ramirez's earpiece crackled. We've got a problem, she said. The maintenance worker we flagged? He's not in the East Wing, he's supposed to be in the West Wing right now. Jonathan's blood froze. The West Wing. The classrooms are in the West Wing, he said, his voice tight. Including my son's. Ramirez confirmed, her eyes locked on his. Without another word, they sprinted toward Miss Anderson's classroom, footsteps echoing like gunshots in the empty halls. As they rounded the corner, there he was, a man in a gray maintenance uniform, fiddling with the keycard reader outside room 112, * Malik's room. * Jonathan's heart slammed against his ribs. * He's trying to get in. * Hey. Ramirez shouted, yanking her weapon free. The man looked up, his eyes cold and calculating, and in that split second Jonathan knew, this wasn't just some janitor. This was a trained operative, and he was seconds away from his son. The chase was on. Jonathan's legs burned, his mind screaming one thing: I won't let them touch Malik. FBI. Don't move. Ramirez's shout sliced through the air like a thunderclap, her gun whipping up with deadly precision. The man's head jerked up, and in that split second his icy calculating eyes locked onto Jonathan's. Oh God, those weren't the eyes of a janitor. Jonathan's stomach lurched. He knew that look, pure, unadulterated menace. A trained operative, right here in his son's school. Before anyone could blink, the man bolted, tearing down the hallway like a hunted animal. Stay with the classroom. Jonathan roared at Ramirez, his pulse hammering as he charged after the intruder. No way am I letting this guy slip away, not with Malik in danger. The chase exploded through Jefferson Academy's twisting corridors, a frantic blur of motion past startled teachers peeking out despite the lockdown. What were they thinking, risking their necks like that? The operative moved like a ghost, lightning fast and eerily familiar with every turn, every shortcut. How long had he been stalking this place? Jonathan's legs burned as he pursued, down a dim stairwell, through a amped service corridor, until they burst into the sprawling, empty cafeteria. Suddenly, the man spun around, knife out. Its blade flashed wickedly under the harsh lights. You should have stayed out of this, Carter, he snarled, his accent dripping with menace. Who sent you? Jonathan shot back, planting his feet, every nerve screaming as he shifted into a fighter's stance. The man's smirk was a shard of ice. You know who. The ones who've been tracking your every step for months. Did you seriously think your precious son was safe here? A wildfire of rage erupted in Jonathan's chest. They dared threaten Malik. If anything happens to my son, he growled, his voice a low, dangerous rumble, but the operative cut him off with a sneer. Then you should have picked a safer playground. So many big-shot families, so much juicy intel. This school's a damn treasure trove. Before Jonathan could lunge, the gym doors behind the man crashed open, thank God. And 2 FBI agents stormed in, guns blazing with authority. Cornered, the operative's eyes flashed with desperation as he thrust the knife at Jonathan. But Jonathan was ready. Years of brutal training surged through him. He dodged with a dancer's grace, seized the man's arm, and wrenched it back, slamming him to the floor with a bone-jarring thud.
It's over.
Jonathan spat, his breath ragged as the agents swarmed to cuff the bastard. Tell your bosses they picked the wrong school to mess with. Panting, Jonathan raced back to Miss Anderson's classroom, his mind a storm of questions. What the hell was this guy after? Was he the only one? As he neared room 112, Ramirez stood outside, her face taut, barking into her radio. We've got a bigger problem, she snapped as he skidded up. Security's clocking movement in the air ducts near the main office, and some creeps hijacking the school's radio frequency. Jonathan's jaw locked. This wasn't just a data heist. It's a damn extraction op, he said, his voice steel-hard. They're targeting the kids, our kids. Ramirez's eyes widened in horror. You mean the VIP students? The ones with parents in power? Exactly. Jonathan snapped. Diplomats, officials, contractors, including Malik. The truth hit like a punch. His son was a target. We've got to evacuate now. He reached for the classroom door, but a muffled boom rocked the building, and then shriek. Fire alarms wailed like banshees. Inside, chaos erupted. Parents clung to their kids, students screamed, and Miss Anderson stood petrified, her smug mask shattered. Jonathan burst in, his voice a lifeline in the madness. Everyone stay calm. That deep, commanding tone sliced through the panic, freezing the room for a heartbeat. We're evacuating, orderly. Follow the FBI to the safe zone outside. What was that blast? A parent shrieked, voice cracking. Probably a distraction.
Jonathan shot back, raw honesty in every word.
That's why we move, fast but calm. Ramirez was already herding people out, but Jonathan zeroed in on Malik. Stay glued to me, he ordered, gripping his son's shoulder like it was the only thing tethering him to sanity. Don't let go no matter what. Malik nodded, his wide eyes brimming with courage. That's my boy.
What about Ethan?
Jonathan glanced at Malik's trembling friend. He's with us, both of you, grab my jacket and hold tight. As they merged into the evacuation line, Jonathan spotted Miss Anderson faltering, lost in shock. Miss Anderson, move, he barked. She jolted, scrambling to catch up, her voice quivering. I'm so sorry, I didn't believe Malik about you. Later. Jonathan snapped.
Focus on getting out alive.
The hall swelled with people, students, teachers, parents, all funneled toward the exits by FBI agents and cops who'd flooded the scene. But through the chaos, Jonathan's hawk-like gaze snagged on something chilling. Another maintenance worker, weaving against the crowd, hands slipping into his jacket, another threat. Ramirez, he yelled, jabbing a finger.
3 o'clock.
She whirled, signaling her team. 2 agents broke off, closing in fast. The man caught, yanked out a small device. A detonator?
Everybody down.
Jonathan bellowed, dragging Malik and Ethan to the floor, shielding them with his body as Miss Anderson crumpled nearby. Please, no explosion. But instead, the lights flickered out, plunging the hall into darkness before eerie red emergency lights flared to life.
Power cut. Jonathan, he said, hauling the boys up.
They're gutting the security systems. The evacuation surged on, frantic in the blood-red glow. Jonathan's grip on Malik and Ethan was unyielding, his eyes darting for danger in every corner. They were inches from the exit when a shattering crash erupted behind them. Jonathan spun to see the second operative wrestling with agents, a display case smashing to bits in the fray. Glass sprayed like shrapnel, kids screamed, and parents shoved forward in terror.
Keep going.
Jonathan urged, hustling the boys and Miss Anderson out. Outside, the school grounds were a fortress, police cruisers, FBI vans, military units locking it down tight. Students and staff were corralled to checkpoints, names checked off like battlefield roll call. Jonathan steered Malik and Ethan to an FBI station where Ramirez was barking orders. Status, he demanded, voice sharp. 2 operatives nabbed, 1 still loose, she replied, tense. We found surveillance gear in the server room, principal's office, and 3 classrooms, including Miss Anderson's.
Jonathan's eyes narrowed. What?
Including hers? Primary target, Ramirez confirmed. They've been watching for at least a week.
Miss Anderson gasped, Palades. Watching my room?
Why me? We'll figure it out, Jonathan said, his gaze flicking back to the school, still crawling with agents. Malik tugged his sleeve, voice soft but steady. Dad, this is why you missed my school stuff, right?
This is your real job.
Jonathan's heart twisted. How could I keep this from him so long? He knelt, hand firm on Malik's shoulder. Yeah, part of it. I'm sorry I couldn't tell you more. Is this because of you? Are they here for us? Before Jonathan could answer, an evidence team hustled by with a suspicious bag. His face darkened. I know that gear. That's not just surveillance, he told Ramirez. That's military-grade data mining, built to rip secrets from secure networks. From a school? She asked, stunned. Not the school, Jonathan said grimly. They're hacking home networks of officials and contractors through the kids' devices, tablets, laptops, phones, bridging school and home to crack classified systems. Ramirez whistled. Smart and sick. Miss Anderson, overhearing, turned to Malik, her voice shaky. I'm so sorry, Malik. I should have trusted you about your dad. Malik nodded, still dazed. Jonathan's phone buzzed. Third operative caught at the service exit. Building secure. Relief rippled through the crowd, but Jonathan stayed vigilant. Parents swarmed him, thanking him, hands shaking his. A hero? Me? But he never let Malik stray, their eyes locking in a silent vow. I'll always protect you. Principal Hayes shuffled over, frazzled. Mr. Carter, your quick thinking saved lives today. How can I thank you? Just doing my job, Jonathan said. But start by treating every kid here with respect, no matter their roots. Hayes nodded, glancing at Miss Anderson, who shrank in shame.
Jonathan crouche de tout Malik. You were incredible today. calme, strong.
I'm so proud.
Malik beamed.
Can I tell everyone what you do now?
Jonathan logued, tension easing.
Some secrets stay ours, but they've got the idea. As night fell, Jefferson Academy buzzed with investigation, police tape, agents everywhere. The pristine halls were a crime scene now, and Jonathan thought darkly, this is our reality. Most families had gone home, but he, Malik, and Ethan stayed in the library, a secure hub amid the storm. How much longer, Dad? Malik asked, exhaustion heavy in his voice. Not long, Jonathan promised, glancing at his watch. Ramirez is wrapping up. She appeared then, windbreaker on, beckoning him over. The surveillance gear's worse than we thought, she whispered. Military grade, encrypted, full-on operation. Jonathan's gut tightened. How far does this reach? But for now, his son was safe. And that was everything. This is way worse than we thought. Jonathan's face darkened into a storm cloud as he glared at the surveillance gear scattered across the table like a traitor's toolkit. Military-grade stuff, with encryption that screams Corée Group.
HIS voice rumbled low, barely holding back the rage-boilin inside.
The Corée Group, those slimy cyber-espionage creeps tied to foreign intelligence, had been his team's obsession for months. But hitting an American school?
What kind of monsters target keys?
This is a first, he growled, dread twisting his gut into knots. They've never dared to strike a place like this before. Any clue what they were really after, he demanded, his eyes locking onto Ramirez with a mix of hope and fury. We're still tearing through the data, she shot back, her voice tight with urgency, but it looks like they were sniffing out big shots through their kids' school accounts, matching student names to parents in top-secret gigs. Jonathan's nod was grim, his mind racing. And my boy, did they flag Malik? His heart skipped as Ramirez hesitated. Oh God, that pause says it all. Yeah, she finally admitted, his name popped up, along with 7 others tied to national security families. A cold, searing anger flared in Jonathan's chest, using kids as pawns to claw at their parents? It gets uglier, Ramirez warned, steering him toward a table where an evidence tech hovered over what looked like a janitor's cart. But who's kidding who? That's no cleaning rig. We dug this up in the boiler room, Ramirez said, her tone clipped and tense. The tech peeled back a false bottom, and Jonathan's breath hitched. Handcuffs, zip ties, and a chilling case of syringes stared back at him. Sedatives, Ramirez confirmed, her words like a punch. Enough to knock out a handful of kids cold. They weren't just snooping. Jonathan's voice turned to iron, realization slamming into him. They were gearing up to snatch them. Leverage, Ramirez nodded, her face a mask of grim resolve. Grab a kid, break a parent. It's a filthy trick, but it works. Jonathan's jaw clenched so hard it hurt. Not my Malik, not ever. I want security locked down on every targeted family, he barked, his tone slicing through the air. And Malik gets 24/7 protection until we crush this threat flat. It's handled, Ramirez assured him, steady as a rock. But hold up, there's more you've got to see. She dragged him to a laptop flickering with grainy security footage. This is from the backups. Watch that fake janitor who nabbed Malik. Jonathan leaned in, his pulse hammering as he saw his son trailing the disguised operative toward the boiler room. Protective fury roared through him. How dare they lay a finger on my boy? Right there. Ramirez jabbed at the screen as the man spun, grabbing Malik with chilling precision. He knew Malik, knew exactly who he was after. This wasn't some random snatch. Jonathan's mind iced over, the truth hitting like a freight train. They've been stalking us, he hissed. Not just at school, at home too. Ramirez's nod was solemn. That black SUV Malik clocked outside your place? Not ours. No official detail was on your house till today. His thoughts spun wild. What else do they know? What secrets have they ripped open? I've got to get Malik home now, he snapped, urgency clawing at him. And scour the house for bugs. Team's already sweeping it, Ramirez said, but as he turned to bolt, she snagged his arm. Wait, Carter, there's more. She thrust a worn photograph into his hand, and Jonathan's breath snagged. It was him years younger, decked in combat gear with his special ops crew in the Syrian desert. A mission buried under 5 years of secrecy. How in hell did they dig this up? Pulled it from the janitor's locker, Ramirez said, her eyes drilling into his. This isn't just spy games, it's personal. Jonathan's brain kicked into overdrive, only a tight circle knew that op. If the Corée group had this, they had a mole burrowed deep in U.S. intelligence. Lock this down, he muttered, shoving the photo into his pocket. I've got calls to make, heads are gonna roll. Back in the library, Malik and Ethan were out cold, sprawled over their backpacks like war-weary recruits. Ms. Anderson sat nearby, a shell-shocked shadow of herself, dwarfed by the federal agents buzzing around her. When she spotted Jonathan, she lurched to her feet, hands shaking like leaves. "Mr. Carter," she stammered, her voice a brittle whisper, I need to apologize again for how I treated Malik. I had no idea that my son wasn't lying." Jonathan cut her off, his words sharp as a blade. "What was it, huh? His race? His name? The fact we don't drip with trust fund cash like your precious elite?" She flinched, tears welling up fast. You didn't mean to get busted," he fired back, his anger a slow, searing burn. "Listen up, Miss Anderson, your garbage treatment of Malik and kids like him? It's done today. Principal Hayes is already greenlighting a full audit of the school's inclusivity, starting with teacher bias." "You can't," she choked, then bit it back, shrinking under his glare. "Oh, I can," Jonathan said, his calm laced with steel. "And I have." He turned to rouse Malik and Ethan, his touch gentle despite the fire in his veins. "Time to roll."
Malik mumbled, eyes bleary.
"Almost, buddy," Jonathan softened. "Ethan, your parents are inbound." Right on cue, an agent loomed in the doorway. "Mr. Carter, the Williams crew's here for their kid." Ethan scooped up his gear, tossing Malik a wide-eyed grin tinged with leftover terror. "Today was nuts, man. You back tomorrow?" "Maybe," Malik shrugged, glancing at his dad. "One night at a time," Jonathan said, his mind already plotting 10 steps ahead. After Ethan bolted with his rattled folks, Jonathan guided Malik through the school's ghostly halls, past agents who dipped their heads in respect. "Take that, Anderson, the guy you sneered at runs this show now." Outside, legit black SUVs gleamed, ready to hustle them home. As they sank into the back seat, Malik finally cracked the silence. "Dad, who were those creeps? Why my school?" Jonathan waited hard. How much can a kid take before it's too much? But today had already torched the shield of ignorance. "They're spies, son, working for some foreign outfit," he said, voice steady. "They were digging for dirt, maybe even plotting to grab kids tied to big-shot parents." Malik's eyes ballooned. "Like me?" "Yeah," Jonathan confessed, his chest squeezing tight. "Because of your job." Another nod, and he braced for panic, but Malik just tilted his head, intrigued. "So you're not just some desk jockey, huh?" "Nope," Jonathan grinned faintly. "I run a counterintelligence squad. We hunt down threats like these and bury 'em." "That why you dodge school stuff and clam up about work?" "Pretty much," Jonathan said. "It's hush-hush, and laying low keeps us off the radar, for the ops and for us." Malik chewed on that, then piped up, "Mom okay? Should we call?" Jonathan's smile warmed. "She's golden, checked in while you were out. She's safe in Chicago with agents on her tail. Back tomorrow." The SUV swung onto their street, and Malik stiffened as their house loomed. Damn, the kid's scared of his own home now. "It's all right," Jonathan soothed, his voice a lifeline. "The place is locked tight, agents are all over it, and we've got guards tonight." Sure enough, the driveway was a fortress, agents prowling like watchdogs. One strode up as they climbed out. "Sir, sweep's done. 3 bugs zapped, living room, kitchen, your office. House is clean." Jonathan's jaw tightened. They were eavesdropping in our sanctuary. "Good work. Keep the perimeter sealed, guards on every door." "Yes, sir." Inside, it all looked normal, but Malik's hawk eyes caught the clues: a tilted frame, a book nudged off kilter. "They were listening here," he whispered, voice tiny. Jonathan nodded. "Good twisting. How long?" "Not sure yet, but they're toast now." He nudged Malik upstairs. "Hit the sack, it's been a brutal day." "I don't know if I can sleep," Malik admitted, shaky. "Give it a shot," Jonathan urged, gentle but firm.
Yoursaf, Ive got you.
Later, He perched on Malik's bed, watching his boy drift off. Sorry I hid so much, he murmured.
Tug ti shield you.
Sorry, Dad, Malik slurred. I get it now. No more big secrets, Jonathan vowed, throat thick. But as Malik faded, Jonathan's mind churned. That Syria photo wasn't random, it was a taunt, a ghost rattling chains from his past. His phone buzzed, O'Reilly's spilling. Says he reports to Volk. Sound familiar? Ice flooded his veins. Anton Volk. The Syrian op survivor, the one who slipped away bloody but breathing. He fired back, top priority. Briefing tomorrow. Double my house detail tonight. He pocketed the phone, eyes locked on Malik's sleeping face. The wall between his lives was rubble, and an old foe was closing in. Over my dead body will he touch us.
Tomorrow, Edéant.
Tonight, he'd stand watch. Father first, warrior always. Dawn crept over the Carter house like a silent drill, agents moving with the precision of a well-oiled machine, ready for whatever came next. Jonathan Carter hadn't slept a wink. How could he, with danger lurking like a shadow over his life? He was already barricaded in his home office, the faint glow of his secure phone slicing through the pre-dawn darkness. When it shrilled at 5:30 a.m. Carter, he barked, his voice a low, gritty rumble, every muscle taut with dread. We have confirmation, Ramirez's voice crackled through, sharp and urgent. No time for pleasantries. Anton Volk is in the country. Facial recognition nabbed him at a gas station in Maryland yesterday. Jonathan's stomach twisted into a knot. Volk here? On American soil? How the hell did he get into the country? He demanded, his tone hushed but boiling with fury, desperate not to rouse Malik from his innocent slumber. Diplomatic cover. Ramirez shot back, her words dripping with disgust. He slithered in with a trade delegation from Ukraine 3 weeks ago, then vanished off the grid like smoke. Jonathan's mind churned, the puzzle pieces slamming into place with sickening clarity. And the school operation? He pressed, his voice tight. Looks like it was dual purpose, Ramirez replied, her tone heavy, grim. The intelligence gathering was real, but according to O'Reilly, God, you won't believe this, they had specific instructions regarding your son. Jonathan's heart stopped. My son? Abduction, he rasped, the word clawing its way out, bitter and raw. Yes. Ramirez confirmed, her voice a whip crack. They were supposed to snatch him during the confusion of the evacuation. Volk wants to use him as leverage. Leverage for what? Jonathan demanded, his pulse thundering in his ears. A heavy pause hung in the air before Ramirez dropped the bombshell. For you to turn over something called the Blackfish Files. Mean anything to you? Jonathan's eyes snapped shut, a wave of memory crashing over him. Blackfish. That mission, shrouded in secrecy, had been his crowning triumph, infiltrating a Russian intelligence network, exposing its guts, and leaving Volk humiliated, thirsting for revenge. I know what he wants, Jonathan growled, his resolve hardening like steel.
Where's Volk now?
We don't know. Ramirez admitted, frustration bleeding through. The Maryland sighting was 18 hours ago, he could be anywhere. No. Jonathan countered, certainty blazing in his gut. He's nearby. He wouldn't delegate this, not when it's personal. We've beefed up surveillance around your neighborhood and Jefferson Academy, Ramirez assured him. All targeted families have protection details. Not good enough. Jonathan snapped, his voice a jagged edge. Volk's a ghost, he'll slip through like he always does. He won't try conventional approaches now that his initial operation's blown, she reasoned. What do you suggest? Jonathan's mind raced. Wait for him to strike? Never. We need to draw him out. Use me as bait. That's risky. Ramirez warned, her tone sharp with concern. So is waiting for him to make the next move. Jonathan fired back, unyielding. I'll come in, we'll hammer out the details. He cut the call, the silence of the house pressing down like a vice. He crept to Malik's room, peering at his son's peaceful face. How did I let it come to this? His work, his choices, had painted a bullseye on his boy's back, and now the weight of it crushed him. He had to end this, permanently. Downstairs, a security agent was brewing coffee, the bitter scent cutting through the tension. Any activity overnight? Jonathan asked, his voice a low murmur. All quiet, sir, the agent replied, calm as ever. Perimeters secure. Jonathan nodded, but then what the hell? A tiny red dot flickered across the wall behind the agent, a sniper's laser taunting him. Get down, he roared, lunging forward and slamming the man to the floor as the kitchen window shattered in a deafening explosion of glass, a bullet thudding into the cabinet where the agent's head had been a heartbeat ago. Sniper! Jonathan bellowed, adrenaline surging like wildfire. More shots rang out, precise and relentless, tearing through the first-floor windows with surgical fury. Outside, his security team unleashed a storm of return fire, their shouts crackling over the radios. Back up now. Jonathan scrambled to the hallway, yanking his weapon from the ankle holster he never left home without, always ready. Secure the upstairs, Malik's up there, he ordered, his voice a thunderclap. 2 agents bolted up the stairs as his heart screamed, "Where's my boy?" The gunfire hammered on, pinning them down in a deadly cage. Where are they firing from? Jonathan snarled into the radio. Rooftop across the street, east side, came the clipped reply. We can't get a clear shot. Then a panicked cry from upstairs pierced the chaos. Sir, the boy's not in his room. Jonathan's blood turned to ice. Not in his room? What? He choked out, dread pooling in his chest. His bed's empty. Windows still locked from the inside. He's got to be in the house somewhere. Relief crashed over Jonathan like a tidal wave. He's here, he has to be. Only to be swallowed by fresh terror. Malik, he shouted, his voice raw with desperation. Where are you? Dad. Malik's small, trembling voice floated back from nearby. I'm in the panic room. Jonathan's breath hitched. Thank God. That reinforced closet off his office, installed years ago as a precaution he'd prayed they'd never need, Malik had remembered. Smart boy, he murmured, pride warring with fear. Stay there, he called out. Don't come out till I say it's safe. The gunfire abruptly ceased, the silence eerie, suffocating, too quiet. His radio hissed, Sir, the sniper's gone. Looks like a diversion. A diversion for what? Jonathan muttered, then it hit him like a freight train, the back. Check the back of the house now, he barked, but before the word settled, a bone-rattling crash erupted from the kitchen, followed by shouts and a fresh barrage of gunfire. Jonathan sprinted toward the sound, weapon raised, his pulse a war drum in his ears. 2 black-clad figures had smashed through the back door, one sprawled lifeless, gunned down by the team, the other ducking behind the kitchen island, trading shots like a cornered beast. Volk's coming for Malik. Jonathan yelled to the nearest agent, his voice a battle cry. This is just the first wave, get everyone inside. He squeezed off 2 shots, sharp and deliberate, forcing the intruder to shrink back. More agents stormed in, a tidal wave of force surrounding the attacker until he flung his weapon down in surrender. But Jonathan didn't linger, he was already tearing toward the panic room, his son's sanctuary. A faint, strangled cry froze him mid-step. Malik. Malik, he shouted, urgency ripping through him. Are you okay? Silence answered, a void that swallowed his hope. With trembling hands, he punched in the code, the door creaking open to reveal, nothing. Just Malik's phone on the floor and a message scrawled in blood-red marker, the boy for the files. You have 4 hours. Instructions to follow. Jonathan's world tilted. How could this happen? The panic room was a fortress, unless they didn't break in, he realized, his voice a hollow rasp. They were already inside. The bugs they'd found yesterday were child's play. Volk's people had cracked the room itself, knowing every secret. 20 minutes later, Ramirez burst into the wreckage, her face a storm of fury and resolve. How did they get him? She demanded, cutting through the chaos. Hidden entrance to the panic room through the basement. Jonathan spat, his voice brittle with rage. A maintenance tunnel not on the original plans. They've been plotting this for months. How'd they slip past the security team? She pressed. Distraction, he snapped. The sniper, the frontal assault, it was all a damn smokescreen while someone inside grabbed Malik. Ramirez scanned the shattered kitchen, glass crunching under her boots. We'll get him back, she vowed, fierce and unwavering. Yes, we will. Jonathan echoed, his voice a cold, lethal promise. But not their way, I'm not dancing to their tune. He yanked his laptop open, fingers flying as he launched a secure program. Every agent's got a tracking chip in their gear. Malik's watch, the one I gave him last Christmas, has one too. I didn't tell him, didn't tell anyone. Ramirez's eyes widened. A tracker on his own kid? You put a chip on your son? She asked, stunned. Precaution. Jonathan shot back, unapologetic. And now it might save his life. The screen flickered, a blinking dot pulsing on the map. He's moving. Jonathan said, his voice tight with hope. Heading east on the highway, they haven't found it yet. I'll call in a tactical team. Ramirez reached for her phone. No, he stopped her, his hand a vice on her arm. Too big, too loud, Volk'll see it coming. This has to be small, precise. You can't go in alone, she argued. Not alone, he countered. I need a driver, a sniper and comms, that's it. Against protocol, she warned. If this goes south, my son's with a monster who'd love to see me bleed. Jonathan snarled. Protocol won't save Malik, I will. Ramirez met his gaze, then nodded, resolute. Okay, I'll drive. Williams on comms, Jackson's our sniper. Good 5 minutes were gone. As they geared up, his phone buzzed with a chilling message, files for the boy. Delaware Warehouse District, Building 17. Come alone. They've made contact, he told Ramirez, flashing the screen. Delaware, matches the tracker. It's a trap, she said, her voice low. Of course it's a trap. Jonathan agreed, a grim smile tugging at his lips. But they don't know we're already hunting them. The 4-person team piled into an unmarked SUV, moving like a well-oiled machine. Jonathan checked his weapons, his mind flashing to Syria, Volk's twisted sneer, the shot that should have ended him. Not this time. As they sped off, he swore silently, only one of us walks away today, Volk, and it's gonna be me. The Delaware Warehouse District sprawled like a decaying maze, abandoned hulks of industry crumbling into dust. Building 17 loomed at the edge, a hulking concrete beast with shattered windows and rusted doors, perfect for a showdown. From a quarter-mile out, Jonathan peered through binoculars, the tracker pinning Malik inside, unmoving for 30 agonizing minutes. 2 guards at the main entrance, another on the roof, more inside guaranteed, he muttered, his voice a low growl. Jackson's voice crackled through comms, 5 hostiles on exterior patrol, standard rotation, tight discipline. Professional operators. Jonathan acknowledged, his gut tightening. Not some street thugs, Volk's elite. Ramirez glanced at her watch. Under 2 hours till their deadline, what's the play? Jonathan tapped his tablet, studying the layout. Volk expects me to stroll in the front with the files, begging for a trade. We're gonna flip the script. He jabbed at a maintenance tunnel on the schematics. This runs under the whole complex. They probably missed it, it's not on newer maps. And if they didn't? Ramirez challenged. Then we adapt, he shot back, his face carved from stone. Jackson, you're Overwatch. Ramirez, take the east side. I'll hit the tunnel, Williams keeps us locked in. You sure about going solo? She pressed, worry flickering in her eyes. Jonathan's stare was unyielding. Volk wants me, let's give him what he's dying for. Jonathan Carter's voice was a low growl as he mapped out the plan. He'll be focused on watching for my approach. That gives us the advantage, our edge. His hands trembled slightly as he synchronized his watch and radio frequencies with the team, every second ticking like a bomb in his chest. Malik, I'm coming for you, son. Ramirez's grip on his arm snapped him back to the moment, her eyes fierce and unyielding. Carter, she whispered, her voice cutting through the storm in his mind. We get the boy out first. Volk is secondary, got it. Understood, Jonathan replied, his tone steady, but oh, those eyes. They blazed with a fire that screamed Volk wouldn't slink away this time. Not after he dared to touch my son. The tunnel entrance loomed ahead, swallowed by years of tangled overgrowth and debris, just as the blueprints had promised. Jonathan slipped into the shadows like a ghost, his tactical light flickering a weak beam through the suffocating darkness. Keep it tight, Carter. Don't let them see you. The air hit him hard, thick with dust, heavy with the sour reek of decay. God, it's like a tomb down here. Above, Jackson's voice crackled through his earpiece, sharp and urgent. Movement at the east entrance. Vehicle approaching, now.
Description.
Jonathan barked, freezing mid-step, his heart thudding. Black sedan. 2 occupants. They're expected, guards are waving them through like it's a damn parade. More players joining the party, Ramirez muttered, her tone dripping with frustration. Could complicate things, great, just what we need. Jonathan's jaw clenched as he pushed forward, reaching a junction where the tunnel split into 3 eerie paths. The tracker blinked, a lifeline pulsing. Malik was right above the rightmost one. My boy's so close. I'm underneath the main floor, he whispered into the comms, his voice barely a breath as he hunted for a way up. The tunnel stretched on, finally spitting him out at a rusted ladder that climbed toward what looked like a utility closet. He gripped the ladder, each rung creaking under his weight. Don't you dare give me away. And listened hard for any hint of life above. At the top, the hatch stared back, locked tight as a vault. Of course it is. With hands that had done this 100 times, he slapped a small breaching charge onto the lock, his pulse racing. Minimal noise, Carter, just a whisper. The soft thump was like a heartbeat in the silence, and he shoved the hatch open, spilling into a closet crammed with forgotten brooms and shattered junk. Empty, thank God. I'm inside, he hissed into his comms, pulling his weapon as he crept to the door. Status. All quiet outside, Jackson shot back. Then a jolt, wait, movement in the second-floor office windows. It's, yes, confirmed visual on a kid matching Malik's description. Northwest corner office, second floor, 2 guards with him. Jonathan's heart leaped, he's alive, my boy's alive. But he locked down the flood of relief, keeping his voice ice calm. Acknowledged. Moving to second floor now. The warehouse sprawled before him, a cavernous beast with a hollow heart, its main floor crawling with armed shadows, for patrolling below, plus the 2 upstairs with Malik. Too many, but I've faced worse. From his perch, the second level taunted him with its offices and walkways. Jackson, do you have eyes on Volk? He murmured. Negative. He's gotta be inside, but I haven't clocked him yet, sorry boss. Jonathan's mind raced as he sized it up. The stairs to the second floor? A wide-open kill zone, no cover, no chance. I'd be dead before I hit the 3rd step. Then he spotted it, the freight elevator on the far wall, a grimy lifeline. Changing approach, he told the team, his voice firm. Using the freight elevator shaft to get up there, it's my shot. He hugged the warehouse's edges, a shadow among shadows, until he reached the elevator. The car was jammed between floors, but the shaft? Oh, that's my way in. He pried the doors apart with a grunt, come on you stubborn bastard, and slipped inside, the black abyss swallowing him whole. The service ladder gleamed faintly, and he climbed, muscles burning, every rung a step closer to Malik. At the second floor he paused, ears straining before cracking the doors open just enough to peek. The hallway stretched empty, but voices slithered around the corner, deep, accented, unmistakably Anton Volk. Your father should be arriving soon, the voice sneered, oily and cold. For your sake, I hope he brings what I asked for. Then oh that sound. Malik's voice quaking but fierce, my dad's going to make you sorry you ever touched me. Jonathan's chest swelled, that's my son, brave as hell. Pride and fear collided, fueling him as he eased out of the shaft and glided down the hall, a predator locked on his prey. Jackson, he whispered, on my mark I need a distraction, east side something loud enough to shake the walls. Roger that, ready when you are. Jonathan slid into position outside the office, peering through the half-open door. One guard loomed by the window oblivious, where's the other one? And Volk's voice rumbled, taunting Malik just out of sight. Ramirez, you set to breach? He asked, barely audible. Affirmative, east entrance is light now. I can punch through on your signal. Good. Everyone ready? Mark. Outside, an explosion roared, Jackson's charge tearing an old vehicle to shreds, and chaos erupted, shouts ricocheting through the warehouse like gunfire. Jonathan exploded through the door, his shot silencing the window guard before the man could even flinch, one down. The second spun, weapon rising, but Jonathan was lightning, 2 shots to the chest, and he crumpled. 2. Then there was Volk, towering behind a battered desk, his hand a claw on Malik's shoulder. 5 years hadn't softened him, still tall, silver-haired, those icy blue eyes glaring, the scar from their last clash a jagged badge of hate. "Carter," he spat, his accent thick but sharp, right on time. "Did you bring my files?" Jonathan's gun locked on Volk's heart, his gaze darting to Malik. "Is he hurt?" "No blood, just wide, terrified eyes." "Let him go, Volk," he commanded, voice steel. "This is between you and me, leave my son out of it." Volk's smile was a slow, cruel slash. "Nothing's just between us anymore, not after what you did." His grip tightened and Malik winced. "Hold on, kid. The files, Carter, or shall we see how many fingers your son can lose before you crack?" Ramirez's voice buzzed in his ear. "I'm inside, first floor's clear, heading your way." "Keep him talking, buy time." "The files weren't worth this, Anton," Jonathan said, his tone steady despite the rage boiling inside. "You crossed a line dragging my family into your mess. You crossed it first." Volk snarled, his mask slipping, fury baring its teeth. "Your Blackfish op torched everything. Decades of my life, my network, my name, all ashes because of you." "That was the job," Jonathan shot back, calm as a blade. "Nothing personal." "This is personal now." Volk roared, yanking a knife and pressing it near Malik's face. "No. The files, final warning." Jonathan's hand slid into his jacket, slow and deliberate, drawing Volk's glare. "Now, Malik, now." A subtle nod, their old signal from backyard drills, and Malik moved, elbow slamming into Volk's gut, dropping to the floor like a stone. Jonathan fired, the bullet ripping into Volk's shoulder. "Gotcha!" And the knife clattered away as Volk reeled, clawing for his gun. But Ramirez burst in, her weapon kissing his spine. "Federal agent, don't you dare move." Cornered, bleeding, Volk froze, his eyes boring into Jonathan's with a dying snarl. "It's over, Anton," Jonathan said, yanking Malik behind him. "Safe, he's safe." "For now," Volk hissed, blood staining his sneer. "Others will come, men like me don't fade." "You're right," Jonathan replied as Ramirez cuffed him tight. "They rot in max security holes where the world forgets them." With Volk down, Jonathan dropped to his knees, wrapping Malik in a hug that could shatter stone. "Are you okay? Did they hurt you? Tell me." Malik shook his head, arms locking around his dad's neck. "I knew you'd come, I remembered what you taught me. Look for the chance, be ready." Jonathan's throat tightened. "My brave boy. You did perfectly," he whispered, voice cracking with love. "I'm so damn proud of you." Ramirez cut in. "We need to move, more could be out there." Jonathan nodded, keeping Malik glued to his side as they bolted. Danger still lurking, but his son was in his arms. That's all that matters, everything. The media swarmed like vultures. Pentagon official thwarts major breach at DC school. Foiled kidnapping tied to foreign spies. But Jonathan dodged the circus, brushing off primetime offers with a quiet, "I just did what any father would." 3 days later, life crept toward normal, though the Carter house bristled with new security. Cameras, locks, the works. Malik's mom was back from Chicago, her face pale with horror but glowing with relief. Over breakfast, Malik piped up, voice small but firm, "Will I be going back to Jefferson Academy?" His parents swapped a look. "What does he want?" "Do you want to?" his mom asked, soft as a lullaby. Malik frowned, thinking hard. "I think so, I don't want them to think I'm scared." Jonathan's heart swelled. "That's my fighter." "If that's what you want, then yes," he said. "But it'll be different, better." And it was. Jefferson Academy turned itself inside out. Principal Hayes, shaken to his core, rolled out a security overhaul that could rival Fort Knox. But more than that, he dug into the school's soul, vowing to fix its broken culture. Ms. Anderson, that Ms. Anderson, stepped up, confessing her bias against Malik and others in a meeting with Hayes. Remorse or survival? Who cared? She was pushing change now. When Malik strutted back a week later, an undercover detail shadowing him at Jonathan's insistence, he wasn't the outcast anymore. No way. Kids stared in awe, even Tyler Whitman, once his tormentor, sidling up with clumsy grins, fishing for friendship. Malik stood taller, his truth a blazing crown. He'd won, and how. Lunchtime at Jefferson Academy buzzed with its usual chaos, but today, something felt off, electric, almost suffocating. Malik Carter sat at his usual spot, picking at his sandwich, when Tyler Whitman, Tyler, the kid who'd spent months mocking him, leaned across the table, his voice bursting with awe. "My dad says your dad is, like, super important," he exclaimed, eyes wide. "That he's a hero or something." Malik froze, the words slamming into him like a tidal wave. "A hero? My dad?" His stomach twisted, the sudden attention prickling his skin. "He's just my dad," he muttered, shrugging it off, but the words felt flimsy, like they couldn't carry the weight of what he'd been through. Beside him, Ethan, his rock, his unshakable best friend, rolled his eyes so hard it was a miracle they didn't pop out. "Oh, now you're all respectful," Ethan snapped, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "Where was this Tyler when you were making fun of him every single day?" Tyler's face flushed red. Was that shame? Actual shame. And he ducked his head. "Yeah, well, sorry about that," he mumbled, the apology hanging awkwardly in the air. Malik stared, stunned. "Sorry? From Tyler?" Before he could unpack it, a shadow loomed over the table. Miss Anderson stood there, her usual smug confidence nowhere to be found. She looked broken? Uncertain? "Malik," she said, her voice softer than he'd ever heard it, "could I speak with you for a moment?" Malik shot a glance at Ethan, who gave him a quick, fierce nod. "You've got this, bro." And he pushed back his chair, following her to a quiet corner where the cafeteria noise faded into a distant hum. She took a shaky breath, her hands fidgeting. "I wanted to apologize again," she began, and the sincerity in her voice hit him like a punch. "What I did was wrong. So wrong. I made assumptions about you and your family that weren't just incorrect. They were hurtful, prejudiced, and I'm so ashamed." Malik studied her face, searching for that old sneer, the condescension he'd endured for months. But it was gone, replaced by something raw, something real. "Is she actually sorry? Can I trust this?" "It's okay," he said at last, though the words tasted like ash. They both knew it wasn't okay, not fully. "No, it's not," she shot back, her eyes pleading. "But I'm trying, God, I'm trying, to learn from my mistakes. I've asked Principal Hayes to set up diversity training for all the faculty, and I'm joining a mentorship program for students like you, kids from underrepresented backgrounds who deserve so much better." Malik nodded, his guarded heart cracking just a little. "She's really doing this?" "That sounds good," he said, cautious but honest. "And," she added, her voice lifting with fragile hope, "I've started a new class project about assumptions and bias. Would you, only if you're comfortable, share your experience with the class?" The question floored him. Me speaking up? In front of everyone? A month ago, she'd have silenced him without a thought. "I'll think about it," he promised, his mind spinning as he walked back to his table. For the first time at Jefferson Academy, a warmth bloomed in his chest, not because his dad was some big shot, but because he, Malik, was finally being seen. It was exhilarating and terrifying. After school, Jonathan waited in the car, his steady presence a lifeline in their new, fragile normal. "How was school?" he asked, his voice warm but laced with that quiet vigilance Malik had come to recognize. "Good," Malik replied, a small smile tugging at his lips. "Ms. Anderson wants me to talk to the class about assumptions and bias." Jonathan's eyebrow shot up. Whoa, what a turnaround. "Quite a change from a week ago," he said, pride flickering in his eyes. "Yeah," Malik agreed, "I think she's actually trying to be better." As they pulled away, Malik's gaze drifted to the black SUV trailing them at a distance. Not a threat anymore, but a silent protector. "Dad," he blurted, his voice small but urgent, "is Volk really gone for good?" Jonathan glanced over, his jaw tightening. How much can I tell him? Their nightmare had taught him that shielding Malik too much hadn't kept him safe. "He's in federal custody," he said carefully, "and he'll be there for a very, very long time." Malik nodded, chewing on that. "But there are others like him, aren't there? That's why we still have security." Jonathan sighed. "Too sharp, this kid. Yes, my work makes enemies sometimes. But the security's just a precaution now, you don't have to worry." Malik's eyes blazed with a confidence that stole Jonathan's breath. "I'm not worried," he declared. "I know what to do if something happens, and I know you'll always come for me." Jonathan's heart clenched. No kid should have to say that. But pride surged too. "Always," he vowed, his voice thick with emotion. "That's a promise, son." 2 months later, Jefferson Academy's gymnasium thrummed with life for the annual spring showcase, the air thick with excitement and nervous energy. In years past, Malik had shrunk into the shadows, barely participating, but not this time. Inspired by the chaos and courage of his life, he'd poured his soul into a project called Beyond Appearances, challenging our assumptions, and now he stood tall beside his display, his voice ringing out with unshakable conviction. The point isn't that assumptions are always wrong, he told a hushed crowd. It's that they limit us if we don't question them, like thinking someone couldn't have a certain job just because of how they look. Jonathan and his wife watched from the sidelines, their chests swelling. Look at him, owning that stage. Ms. Anderson had kept her word, supporting him every step of the way, her guidance a quiet redemption. Principal Hayes approached, his handshake firm and warm. Mr. and Mrs. Carter, it's wonderful to see you both. Malik's project is incredible, he's really something. Yes, he is, Jonathan agreed, his voice steady with pride. He's put his whole heart into this. Hayes nodded eagerly. We've made big changes since the incident. New security, sure, but also programs to tackle bias head-on. Malik's been a huge part of showing us where we went wrong. Across the buzzing gym, Ms. Anderson caught their eye, her once arrogant stride now hesitant, humble. She wove through the crowd and approached, her voice steady but respectful. Mr. and Mrs. Carter, she greeted, I wanted to thank you. Jonathan blinked. Thank us? For what? For not coming after me or the school, she said, her honesty startling. You had every right, after how I treated Malik. Instead, you gave us a chance to learn, to grow. Jonathan studied her. Is this real? Can people change that much? The shift seemed genuine, though he knew it was a journey, not a finish line. Everyone deserves a shot at doing better, he said simply, his tone kind but firm. As the showcase rolled on, Ethan bounded over to Malik's booth, his grin lighting up the room. Dude, your project's the best one here, even Tyler said so. Malik laughed, shaking his head. Tyler's just kissing up 'cause he's still scared of my dad. Smart move, Ethan chuckled, and their laughter echoed, a bright spot in the chaos. Later, as the crowd thinned, Malik's jaw dropped. Agent Ramirez. She strode in, her civilian clothes doing nothing to hide that razor-sharp edge. She nodded to Jonathan, then turned to Malik with a rare, warm smile. Impressive project, kid, you've got a sharp mind. Thanks, Malik beamed, basking in praise from a real-life hero. Mr. Carter, Ramirez said, her tone shifting to steel, thought you'd want to know, we've ID'd a leak in intel from Volk's op. They're being handled. Jonathan's nod was tight. One less threat. Any other loose ends? None your family needs to worry about, she assured him. Threat levels down, you can ease off the security soon. Relief flooded Jonathan, though he knew their old normal was gone forever. Some wounds leave marks. That night, as they drove home, Malik stared out at the familiar streets, the black SUV a fading shadow behind them. Dad, he said, his voice heavy with thought, I've been thinking about what I want to do when I grow up. Oh. Jonathan glanced over, curious. What's that? I want to work in cybersecurity, Malik announced, to protect people, like you do. Jonathan's heart twisted, pride clashing with dread. He's too young for this burden. That's a noble goal, he said carefully, but you've got time to figure it out. Don't rush into my footsteps just because of all this. It's not just that, Malik pushed back, fierce and sure. I'm good with computers, and now I get why your work matters. From the back, his mom leaned forward, her teasing smile a soft glow. If that's your dream, you'll outshine your dad, 'cause you'll start young. Jonathan caught her eye in the mirror, gratitude washing over him. She's our anchor. At home, their house stood strong, its new security a quiet shield. Malik paused at the door, glancing back at the SUV parked discreetly down the street. They're still watching us, he asked, a flicker of unease in his voice. For now, Jonathan said, but not for long. Later, as Malik slept, Jonathan sat in his office, poring over the final reports from Volk's capture. The gaps in their defenses, school, home, everywhere, had been patched, but the lessons burned deep. His phone rang, the secure line's tone jolting him upright. Carter, he answered. Mr. Carter, the president wants to see you tomorrow morning, the voice said, about the Volk situation and national security. I'll be there, Jonathan replied, his mind racing, school security funding, nationwide. A soft knock broke his focus. Malik stood in the doorway, pajamas rumpled, looking small and vulnerable. Everything okay? Jonathan asked, his heart squeezing. Malik nodded, shuffling in for a hug that lingered. He's making sure I'm still here. Just wanted to say goodnight again, he murmured, clinging tight. Come here, Jonathan whispered, wrapping him in love. Dad, are we really going to be okay now? Yes, Jonathan swore, fierce and certain. We're going to be more than okay, son.
À Malik shuffled back to bed, Jonathan dimmed the lights, pausing to check the security system. Some Abby never die.
Outside, the black SUV stood watch, a testament to battles won. The Carter family had been forged in fear and fire, but they'd emerged unbreakable, bound by a love and understanding stronger than ever. In his room, Malik gazed at the stars, his mind swirling with his project, his dad's courage, and the future ahead. They doubted me. They doubted my dad, he whispered to the night. They won't do it again, will they? And in that quiet victory, he drifted into peace. But wait, how often do we judge too fast, locking people into boxes that don't fit? The truest heroes don't roar, they just show up when the world needs them most. If Malik's journey stirred your soul, drop a like and subscribe for more stories that shatter the mold. Vindication's price is steep, but oh, isn't it worth it? Based on the content provided, I find the story of Malik and Jonathan Carter to be an emotionally gripping and profoundly valuable narrative. It masterfully captures the unbreakable bond between a father and son, with Jonathan's fierce dedication to protecting Malik resonating deeply. The story doesn't just pull at your heartstrings, it challenges you to confront the ugly reality of prejudice and the assumptions we too often make about others. Ms. Anderson's transformation from a biased skeptic to a humbled advocate is a powerful reminder that people can change, but only when they're forced to face the truth. What makes this content so valuable is its ability to weave high-stakes drama, national security, espionage, and personal vendettas into a deeply human story of growth and redemption. It's not just about the action, it's about the quiet moments of vulnerability, like Malik seeking reassurance from his dad or Jonathan's silent vow to protect his family at all costs. The narrative urges us to look beyond appearances, question our biases, and recognize the quiet heroism in those we might overlook. It's a story that lingers, pushing you to reflect on the boxes we trap people in, and the courage it takes to break free.